This morning the talk is based on this 14th century text on Advaita Vedanta, very famous text on Advaita Vedanta, the Panchadashi of Vidyaranya Swami. In the Panchadashi you have 15 chapters on Advaita Vedanta. Today the one I'm going to talk about is the 6th chapter. What I'm going to draw upon is the 6th chapter. It's possibly the largest chapter in the whole book. So we're going to draw upon that. And the chapter is called, it's a chapter on the picture. It's called Chitradeepa, the lamp of the picture, or it's Advaita explained with the analogy of painting. I found that very interesting, so I'm going to start with that. In this chapter, what Vidyaranya has done is, he has used the analogy of painting, of art, to explain Advaita Vedanta. It seems that in those days, and maybe even today, when people were painting, what they would do is, they would take a piece of cloth and then go through a certain process, after which they will be able to paint it. Yeah. The process had 4 stages. The first stage would be, take the pure white cloth, a clean white cloth. The second stage, they would stiffen it with starch. You can't draw properly on just a cloth, so they would stiffen it with starch. And then the third thing would be, they would draw an outline. The artist would draw an outline of the picture they wanted to paint. And then finally, the artist would fill in the colors. So 4 stages. The cloth itself, the pure white cloth itself, then stiffened with starch, then with an outline of the painting, and then with the colors filled in. With these 4 stages, Vidyaranya shows us the entire the cosmology of Advaita Vedanta. The pure white cloth, Vidyaranya says, is equivalent to Nirguna Brahman, the absolute, Sat Chit Ananda. You see, in Advaita Vedanta, the central teaching of Advaita Vedanta is very simple. It can be expressed in what they say, the half a verse or one little sentence. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahmaiva Naparaha. What does that mean? Brahman alone is real. The world is an appearance, and Jiva, us, we are none other than Brahman in reality. We are the absolute actually. You are one with Brahman, or you are Brahman. So this is the central teaching of Advaita Vedanta, and see how beautifully he brings it out with this analogy of the painting. So this pure white cloth is Nirguna Brahman, the absolute existence, consciousness, bliss. Sat Chit Ananda. And then next what happens is, the cloth which is stiffened with starch, so the starch is Maya, the power of Brahman. You see, Nirguna Brahman, the absolute in itself, is not capable of projecting the universe. It is Brahman with the power of Maya which is capable of projecting itself as the universe. Just as the rope is projected as the snake, or mistaken for the snake, in the classic Vedantic example. Why is it mistaken? Because of ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of the rope. Here, Maya plays that role. So, the cloth is stiffened with starch, making it capable of being painted upon. Similarly, Satchidananda, with the power of Maya, is now capable of projecting this universe. So that's the second stage, comparable to the cloth with the starch, stiffened with starch. Then comes the third stage. The same Satchidananda, now with the power of Maya. The third stage, remember, is the drawing of the outline in the painting. So the same Satchidananda with the power of Maya, now the subtle bodies are projected. The 5 subtle elements, they're called tanmatras, and out of that the subtle bodies, our minds and intellect, sukshma sharira, to be more precise, the Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha. The subtle bodies, all of us, our minds, they are created out of those 5 subtle elements. That's the drawing of the outline of the painting. Third stage. And once that is done, the painter fills in the various colors, red and blue and yellow and all of that, fills in the colors, and so you have the full painting. That filling in the colors is the projection of the gross physical universe, what you see around yourself. And that completes the picture of this universe. Very interesting how Vidyaranya has drawn this analogy. The white cloth is compared to Satchidananda Brahma. And then the cloth, the Satchidananda Brahma with the power of Maya, the term for that is Ishvara. In fact, that is the term for God in Vedanta. The God of religion, the God which creates and preserves and destroys this entire universe, Ishvara, that is the second stage of drawing. The cloth with starch, Satchidananda with Maya. In fact, the technical definition of Ishvara, God, you may not know that there are actually definitions of God. There is a technical definition of God in Vedanta is Maya Upahita Chaitanya. Pure consciousness associated with Maya. And then the third stage is all the subtle bodies, consciousness associated with Maya and with all the subtle bodies. The painting, the pure white cloth stiffened with the starch with the outline of the painting. And technical definition of this is, the term used is Hiranyagarbha, cosmic mind. What is cosmic mind in Vedanta? Consciousness, Brahman, plus Maya, plus all our minds taken together. All the minds of the jivas taken together. This is called Hiranyagarbha or cosmic mind. And the technical definition of that in Vedanta is Samashti Sukshma Sharira Upahita Chaitanyam. The combined, the totality of all minds, consciousness associated with the totality of all minds, of all the billions of beings in this universe, all our minds together. That's called the cosmic mind or Hiranyagarbha, one term for that. Vidyaranya uses another term, Sutratma. And then the physical world is projected with all living beings, with our bodies and all, as you see this, the same consciousness, which is Nirguna Brahman, which with Maya is Ishvara, which with Maya and all subtle bodies is Hiranyagarbha. The same Brahman with all physical bodies in this physical universe, the same Brahman is now called Virat. Technically, the definition is Samashti Sthula Sharira Upahita Chaitanya. Consciousness associated with all physical bodies. Not just physical bodies, subtle bodies, as well as with Maya. So Virat is the final form, what you see in the universe now. In fact, that's what Arjuna saw in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita when he said, I would like to see your divine form. You say, we are seeing this universe. What else is there? Yes, but we are seeing the universe in a fractured way. That means individuals. I'm an individual, you are all separate individuals, and here is the universe spread out in front of me. We do not see it as a oneness. Imagine one consciousness associated with billions and billions of living beings. You see, one of the problems in public speaking is that when you have 50 people or 100 people staring at you, you tend to feel nervous because everybody, they're not staring at you in a hostile way. They just want to listen to you, but they're staring at you. But that's why people feel nervous in public speaking, because it's a digression what I'm doing, but it's interesting. In the animal world, staring is a sign of aggression, right? If there's a dog and you stand and stare at it continuously, the dog will look up at you, and then after some time either will look away or will growl at you or something like that, or run away if you continuously stare at it. So staring continuously is a sign of aggression in the animal kingdom. Normally also when we interact with people, you will notice we don't stare directly. We look away, and then we look away and look again. So that's how we interact with people. If you stare directly, our animal minds, animal brains interpret it as a sign of aggression. That's why you feel nervous when you're faced with an audience. Now, they are all staring at you. not in an aggressive way. They just want to listen to you. That's why they are paying attention. And you want them to pay attention. But your animal brain interprets it as aggression. And that's why you feel nervous. Now, if 50 people can make you nervous, or 100 people can make you nervous looking at you, imagine 1,000 people. Imagine the largest audience that I have faced was 14,000 people in Belur Math. But imagine then, Arjuna, when he asked Krishna, I want to see your Virat. The name of the chapter is Vishwarupa Darshan, your universal form, the vision of your universal form. I want to see your Virat. You know what he saw? What he saw was, imagine all billions of human beings and billions of other dogs and cats and elephants and tigers, and all down to the meanest little creature, all billions and trillions of creatures, all suddenly, if they were possessed of one consciousness and they turned around and looked at you, what would you feel? You'd be terrified. And Arjuna was terrified. He said, every hair on my body is standing on its end. It's as if, he says, as if 1,000 suns have risen in the sky together. And when you're at the focus of the attention of a lot of people, you feel the focus of the attention. In fact, more than 14,000 people, the largest audience that I've faced, was once I spoke at what we have in Belur Math, the monks' conference, where the entire monastic order gathers together once every few years. So we get a chance to, some of us are selected to say something to the gathered monks. I was a very young monk at that time, and newly minted, as they would say. And when I stood up to face my seniors, they were at that gathering, there were more than 500 monks. And that was just a gathering of monks. And when they all stared at you, nicely, but that was more overwhelming than facing 14,000 people. Arjuna, imagine, he says, as if 1,000 suns have risen in the sky together. In fact, that particular verse was quoted by Oppenheimer in the first test of the atomic bomb, when he saw the first nuclear explosion. He says, as he quotes from the Gita, as if 1,000 suns have risen in the sky together. I come, death. I come, death, the swallower of worlds. He quotes that. So that is Virat, consciousness associated with the entire universe, with all living beings. That is compared to the final painting, the painting with all the figures completed, with the colors filled in. So 4 stages of this analogy, very beautiful example given by Vidyaranya. Now who are we? We are the individual figures in that painting. And the thing is, the individual figures are not real. What is real is the cloth. The cloth behind this is the only reality. Why do I say that? Because the painting would not exist without the cloth. Do you follow this? The only reality there is the cloth itself. Without the cloth itself, the pure white cloth, no starched cloth, no outline painting, no final painting. The reality all throughout is the cloth. When you starch it, and what's there actually? Basically the cloth. When you draw an outline, what's there? Basically the cloth. And when you finally have the full painting, what's there? Basically the cloth. Ultimately, that cloth alone is the reality. So this is an example. It's not an exact example. Don't say that, no, there is the cloth plus starch. That's an example. But ultimately, when the painting is completed, each individual being in that painting, each person, a man, a woman, a child, it's basically the cloth which is appearing in that form, in the form of a man or a woman or a child. In the same way, what Advaita Vedanta says, each of us is that background consciousness, Satchidananda. When you say, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, that's what it means, the background consciousness, Satchit Ananda. That's what we are supposed to realize. Advaita Vedanta says, this entire universe that you are experiencing, all the people, all the events of your life, all the living beings, all the non-living things that you see around, are in reality not the cloth, Brahman, Satchidananda Brahman. And that's what we are supposed to realize. We are not individual creatures of flesh and blood. We are not just body-mind complexes. We are actually Sat, Chit, Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, appearing as this body and mind complex. They didn't have movies in those days, 700 years ago. But if they had, I'm sure Vidyaranya would have a chapter on the example of the movie, the film example chapter in the Panchadashi. But I actually heard this very beautiful example from a Swami who was teaching us non-dual Vedanta in Haridwar. The example he gave was, imagine there's a little boy in some remote village in India who hasn't seen what a movie is. Very difficult to find such a little boy nowadays, but anyway, just imagine. And one day his dad says, I'll take you to see a movie. And on the way to the city, when they're going to see a movie, a film, the father tells the child, what you're going to see is a screen, a pure white cloth, a screen, on which pictures, light and pictures will be thrown, and there'll be sound, but basically it's all happening on a screen. Now when they enter the movie hall, the film has already started, and that's important because when we are born, the film has already started. If we could have gotten at the beginning, then there would have been no problem. But when we are thrust into life, it's in the middle of a movie. So they get into the hall and the child watches the movie, and at first he's engrossed in the movie. Like we are all, we're engrossed in life. But after some time, he asks his dad, Father, where's that screen you're talking about? Where's the screen? At one time we do ask fundamental questions of life. Is there God? What is the reality about this? Give me the truth about this. So the boy asks, where is the screen? You told me about a screen, that everything is happening on a screen. And the father says, right there, in front of you. Maybe the movie, I imagine it as the movie is about the Mahabharata war, Arjuna and Krishna, the Gita, Bhagavad Gita and everything. So I remember that because I had seen, my first movie was such a mythological movie about the Ramayana. And today it makes me laugh. I mean, I was delighted to see it. Today kids would think it's a joke. It's so crudely made in those days. Now, when the father says, there is the screen, and the child says, the screen, you mean Krishna is the screen? No, right behind Krishna, just behind Krishna in the movie. Behind Krishna, Arjuna. He's standing right there. No, behind them both. Oh, the chariot. Not the chariot. Behind all of that. Oh, you mean the battlefield itself is the screen? No, all of that. Behind all of that. Behind all of that is the sky. Then the father says, no, remove all of that and what you get is the screen. Oh, remove everything, the Krishna and the Arjuna and the battlefield and the chariot and the armies and the sky and everything, and remove. So nothing. That means the screen is nothing. Do you see the problem? Whatever the father points out to, he knows what he means. But there is a picture there. And the child mistakes the picture for the screen. Right here, in all our experiences, Brahman is there. But when the teacher, when Vedanta points it out, that's what you are, we think, oh, I'm body. No, beyond that, mind. No, beyond that, blank, nothing more. No, beyond the blankness, beyond the blankness. We don't get it. The only way the child will get it is when the movie stops and the lights come on in the hall. When the movie stops, there's a small interval when the movie stops and before the lights have come on, it's just dark. There's no movie and nothing else also. That's like deep sleep. When we sleep, sushupti, deep sleep, you do not know the self, you do not know the world, you don't know anything, just the blankness. And then the lights come on in the hall and then you see the screen and you know what it is. Not only that, very interesting, next time the kid sees a movie, he will no longer be deluded about the screen because now he can see the movie is running, there are pictures on the screen, but while seeing the pictures on the screen, the child is very clear about what the screen is. Do you follow? Yeah? The child is able to see the movie and he knows these are pictures and what's behind all of the pictures is the screen. So the child will not be deluded. It's an enlightened child, but enlightened about the movie. Now, our enlightenment is all our experiences in this world are like a movie, and we have to see through these experiences to the reality behind. That's what Vedanta talks about. So that would be the movie example, if there were movies at that time, during Vidyarnya's time. But basically, you see, the example of the picture is valid. It's more or less the same example, just there are no moving pictures or sound there. And it's a very intelligent example. Vidyaranya takes it one step further and says, look, here is the picture. And in the picture, there are human beings in the picture. And the human beings are also wearing clothes. So these clothes, the cloth on a human being, on a person in the picture, the cloth is painted on the real cloth. There's a painted cloth and there's a real cloth. Just like that in Vedanta, there is the original consciousness, pure consciousness. And on our subtle bodies, in our subtle bodies, the consciousness is reflected. In Sanskrit, chidabhasa, the reflected consciousness, which we are aware of right now. When we look into our minds, we feel aware. We feel conscious. That is like the painted cloth. That's not original. Originally, it's the pure white cloth, which is still there. On top of that, you paint it. And Vidyaranya points out, the painting is different. Some have red clothes, some have blue clothes, some have yellow clothes. Similarly, in the world, some are energetic and dynamic, some may be a little dull and lazy, some are very quiet and unassuming, some are very good people, some are not so good people. All of these are paintings on consciousness. So he beautifully shows the difference between jivas, individualities. The differences are not real. What is real is the background consciousness. The differences are painted on. So in this example, Brahman is the divine artist. I think the subject today was the divine artist. I was in two minds. Should I call it the divine artist, or the other title I thought of was the big picture? So maybe I'll use that next time I talk about this subject. So here Brahman is the divine artist, and Brahman, and the painting is also Brahman himself, itself. The painter is painting on himself or itself. So it is one reality. In the Vedas, God has been compared to an artist, a poet, for example. I met one Swami in the Himalayas whose guru had told him that you stay in the Himalayas and look upon the Himalayas as a visible representation of God, as a visible manifestation of Brahman. And he quoted from Kabir Das, Khule nain dekhu sahab ko. I shall look upon my Lord with open eyes. Not only in meditation, with open eyes. How? That Swami told me, his guru had told him, quoted from the Vedas, Pashya devasya kavyam yona jiryati namamara. Look upon the poetry of God, which neither decays nor dies. Looking upon the grand sights of the Himalayas and the Ganges running down there. It's the poetry of God. So God has been compared to a painter, God has been compared to a poet. Beautiful examples. And the purpose is, we think of ourselves as this individual being, and you're all individual beings different from us, but I'm not aware of the background existence consciousness place. And the technique of Vedanta is to lead us to show us that I am not the body and not the mind, I am the background consciousness. You are not the painted figure. The reality behind you and behind everybody else is the same white cloth. In the same way, the reality behind every one of us is Brahman, one reality behind everybody. And the techniques, we have heard of those techniques. I will not go into that today. Drigdrishya Viveka. How do I go back from this to the pure consciousness, witness consciousness? Not difficult. Drigdrishya Viveka, for example. What you see, that you are not. That's an object. The one who sees or one who experiences is the subject. So you see this world, obviously we don't think we are the world. But our problem starts with the body. The confusion starts with the body. We think we are the body. But then use that criterion. Do you experience the body? Yes, I experience the body. If I experience the body, experience means sees the body or touches the body or feels the body. If I do that, then the body is an object of my awareness. That which is aware of the body is the real me. Okay? So what is that? I can see the body, so the eyes are seeing the body. Am I the eyes? Am I the sensory system? But the eyes also I am aware of. I know I have opened my eyes. I know I can close my eyes. I know that I need glasses. That means I am aware of my eyes. The eyes are also objects. The sensory system is also objective. That which is aware of the eyes, being different from the eyes, being inward and subtler than the eyes, that I am. Is that the mind? Consider the mind then. The thoughts in the mind, the emotions in the mind, the memories, the sense of ego, all of that I'm aware of. If I think 2 + 2, 4, it's a thought. Am I not aware of that? Yes, I'm aware of that. In that case, I am not even the mind. We are in deep waters now. I am not even the mind. I am something that which is aware of the mind. In fact, even the sense of ego, I, you feel it right now? If you say, I am sitting on this chair. Okay? Everybody will agree except me. I am not sitting on the chair. You agree, yes, I am sitting on a chair. But this idea, this feeling, this conviction that yes, I am sitting on the chair, are you aware of it? If you consider it, are you aware of it? What is aware of that? What within you is aware of this feeling, I am sitting on a chair? Clearly the I, in that I am sitting on a chair, that I is also an object. You are aware of that I. Something is there within you which is aware of the I. If you are aware of it, you are not it. It's an object. Even the I, the closest thing which our central existence, I, the sense of ego, that also is something that we are aware of. Something within us is shining upon the ego. I am not the ego. If you can step back, ahankara sakshi, the witness of the ego. And that one you can never make an object. That one which is the witness of the ego, you can never make an object of it. That is the background consciousness. We are telling the painted figure, you are not the painting, you are the background white cloth. So, that pure consciousness. So this is a technique. This is called Drigdrishya Viveka. And there are other such techniques. There is the method of the 5 sheets, Panchakosha Viveka. There's the method of the 3 states of aware, 3 states, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. Different methods. By these different methods, we come to one unchanging background consciousness, which is not an object, which is not a thing. It is that which is aware of all things, that which is which enlivens all our minds and our bodies. But that's not the subject I'm going to talk about now. This is the basic background. Those who have been coming to Vedanta for a long time, you know. We talk about one subject only. And not only for, we've been here for more than 100 years, and not just 100 years, for thousands of years, Vedanta has been talking about one subject only. The background white cloth, the pure white cloth, the background reality. But what I'm going to do today, from starting now, in the 6th chapter, which I'm relying on the Panchadashi, towards the end of the 6th chapter, there are 40 verses which are very interesting. It's a Q&A between the master and the disciple. Remember, the disciple is somebody who's already been in Vedanta for quite some time. The disciple is somebody who has already been taught 5 chapters of Panchadashi, and that's no mean thing. So this is a Q&A between an advanced student and the master. And you are all advanced students, so you will enjoy this. An absolute newcomer to Vedanta will not find much traction here. But when you listen to the questions, and even more so the answers, we'll discuss that now, you'll be delighted because you'll feel, I had these questions. These questions are very subtle, and the answers are even more so. And the advantage is, for an advanced student, for an absolute beginner, it will not make much sense. But for somebody who's been in Vedanta for some time, our understanding of Vedanta becomes much more deep and profound when we ask these questions and we receive answers and we contemplate the answers.